And now let me open the left view, front, and then I want to load the family into the another family right here. Component in the plan view. I add it. Then I align it, lock with the reference planes. I open the front view, check it out. Afterwards, I want to create a parameter for it. Actually, a reference plane and a reference plane at the above. Then I measure the distance and lock it. These are going to be variable. I name it height, like this way. Height bar or height bar, whatever. Instance and OK. In the continuation, I minimize the scale 1 to 10. I increase the height. Then I want to use the SUB command. Watch this part. Then I draw the line again, like this way. I adjust it. Well done. Then I add an arc like this way using tangent, like this way, by this way. Then for the top part, that is going to be anchoral bolts. Then I'm gonna use tangent again, like this way. I model a hang for it. Well done, finish. Then I open the 3D view, select profile, I draw a circle by this way, finish and finish to save the changes. This is the result. Look at this. Then I can increase the thickness of 1.5 like this way. Better. Then I can select it, associate the material. However, let me specify galvanized for all of them. M dash galvanized. OK, like this way. Well done. And if we wanted to calculate this schedule table, we have to check shared, and I load it into the family 4 by this way. So then we can have the schedule table separately. I enable workplane based as well. I link the material parameter. Generic model, I set the category structural connections. Still for the material for model behavior. And then I save the file as IR connection 3. Done. Afterwards, we're gonna test it, load it into the project and try it, or test it actually, here in the detail view, selecting the component. We can click place on face or place on work plane based on needs. Whether I choose place on face, then I click on the interior face as the placement reference. That we usually place it at the top, so we place it there. Then I open the 3D view, check it out. Here it is. I move this upwards, move it downwards to see the behind. Check it out. Here it is. Look at this. Exactly what we wanted. Again, for more details, I draw a detail view, detail line, then check the position. It should be positioned correctly. I define 8, actually not point 8, not 8. Look at this, 8 or 1, better. Look at this, and in this part that is connected to the floor, let me check the height. I mean from this part right here, since we have considered the height from here, and then I connect it. Anyway, 273. When we set the parameter as instance, then we'll have the grids or the grip actually that we can use click and drag to change the value or specify the height rebar. Then again, in the detail view, I can select it here, array, watch this, linear, or move to last, and I specify the last item here for the items. I'm 6 actually. Let me see. I select these, filter, model groups, I ungroup them, and I select one of them, array, from this part, move to second. I specify the second item, then I specify the value 10, 11. Let me see, array, move to second, 11, done. Correct. Then I select these again, ungroup them, but I select the let me check the filters, structural connections, 1, 2, 3, well, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. I think I made a mistake since I'm try again. Move to second and I define the distance 1000 at each meter actually. 5 for the number of items. Select 6. And these two, I ungroup these and delete them. However, we got here as well, 1. I delete it. Very well. Then in the 3D view, check this out. This is perfect, guys. I mean, as a BIM modeler, as an expert BIM modeler who is professional in his or her job, you can use these options. And I might have talked about some of these issues, some of these instructions in the previous courses, but I recommend this method for having a correct and accurate scheduling. However, you may find it time consuming, but the value of accuracy is high. Here from schedule quantities, you can search for structural connections, select them, and then I search for type and count. I mean, these two are being scheduled usually, and then we'll have them and list it, and we can sort them based on types or sub by types. We'll learn these items in a schedule and also showing the totals. Watch this. 106, 68, and 68. Perfect. And from Inkscape we can check it out. So firstly I move upwards and then I move through. Check it out. As you can see, it is connected to this slab, and you can represent your projects among your clients and employers like this way. Check it out. I remove the section box, then we can have the entire model in Inkscape. Here we don't have lights. I hide one of the sides, then we'll have some light. Check it out by this way. Check out the wall. So by this way you could model the ceilings in high details, represented, that is available also in the schedule tables in high details. Well done. And about this part that we want to add some panels, we don't need to do this, but if you wanted to create panels, we'll talk about parts in the future sessions. That I don't recommend you to install the panels one by one. And however, if we wanted to calculate the value of area, we can easily calculate it. It is not complicated, but if we want to display it, we got some other methods. We can select them and then create parts. Select and create part, and then I divide it. I draw a line here by this way, like this, and then I offset this at each 500 millimeters, at the size of the tile, like this way. Well done. Again I select them, then we can draw another line at the other direction horizontally. We can have intersections here, it does not matter. And then I extend these, then I offset it at each 500 millimeters. And as I mentioned before, intersection does not matter here. But don't forget that we should not have overlappings between two lines. Let me delete the extra ones. I open the 3D view and then I finish it. Watch this, they are divided. Then I click on finish again. And now part visibility, if I set it to show parts, watch this. However, the patterns should be hidden. I set it to show original, then I select this from edit type. We can remove the patterns, or we can use overrides by element. I disable the surface patterns temporarily, then setting them to show parts again. Look, this is the result. However, still we got the patterns. Let me open manage tab, view tab, visibility settings. I find ceilings, then from overrides I uncheck foreground and background patterns. Watch this. Still we got the parts. Let me see. And here the patterns, I select them, overrides by element. I uncheck the visible for background and foreground. Done. As you can see, we got each of the panels here, and also we can edit them, or these lines we can edit the sketch, and we can consider a gap between them, which this 1 millimeters, 10 millimeters, or whatever. I click on finish, save the changes, then we'll have the gaps between the panels, which this. Again, I edit sketch. I specify 1 millimeter between the panels. This is better. Like this way, we get back to Inkscape and then walk through. Here, let's see the panels and the gaps between them. These are the gaps, as you can see. So you can consider these very realistically and perfectly, execute them, and then represent the results in Inkscape. So this was the process of modeling of the ceilings. However, you may have different kinds of methods like using Dynamo. However, I tried not to use Dynamo in this course to make you familiar with Revit at first. However, if you're interested to model this part with Dynamo, you can enroll in our Dynamo courses, and then you'll learn how to automate the process of modeling. But you'd better to learn Revit at first.